Hey friends, welcome to another video. Achievement for Brandon here. As we all know, it's almost 2023 and a lot of us are getting ready to set New Year resolutions for ourselves. In this video, I'll be talking about 5 myths a lot of people always have in their mind when making resolutions, which at the end always stands as a stumbling block on their way, preventing them from actually achieving the goal they have set. So make sure you watch the video right up to the end, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be a hero by sharing the video to help someone learn something new today. The first myth is your goals need to be smart. And we often hear a lot of big motivational speakers saying things like, if your goals are not bigger than you, or if your goals does not scare you, means your goals are not good enough. And I used to listen a lot to these people, which will make me to set these huge goals in which at the end of the day, I will not be able to achieve any of them. And a lot of this always happen at the beginning of every year when we all try to set New Year resolutions for ourselves. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to have big goals. But for some people who don't really have that mental toughness, having these goals and not being able to achieve them, it could weaken them. It could lower their self-esteem and it could go as far as making them not being able to believe in themselves anymore. Especially when some of these people have really worked so hard to achieve this goal, but just because the goal was way bigger than their scope, they were not able to achieve it. We need to understand that some of these motivational speakers we listen to are just like coaches to a football team. They will tell you every technique you need to play and win. They will tell you every strategy you need to win. But these people will never actually play your game and win it for you. You still have to do everything yourself. And just for the fact that you have the best coach and your team is still at the first division level does not make you qualify to play for the Champions League. You cannot be aiming for the Champions League when you have not yet even taken the trophy at the divisional level. So what I'm trying to say is, before setting our goals, we need to narrow the scope of our goals. We need to break these goals down into smaller goals and try to achieve them, because once you achieve your goal, it gives you the motivation to even aim for bigger goals. But once we keep setting these huge goals and we are not able to achieve them, it is certainly going to weaken us. Not because we cannot work so hard to achieve these goals, because the goals are way bigger than us. You need to understand that the most important thing is not to set big goals, but the most important thing is to achieve the goals you've set. It doesn't matter how small these goals might be. It's still going to take you a step closer to the bigger goal. Let's take for instance, maybe your goal is to lose weight in the coming year. Instead of telling yourself you'll be working 4 hours in the gym every day to achieve these goals, try to break it down. Tell yourself you will dedicate 30 minutes of your time every day to work out in order to achieve this goal. And if you're able to stay consistent with this to the end of the year, you will still be able to lose a lot of weight without putting in so much effort. Or maybe your goal is to make an extra money every month in the coming year. You don't want to start by saying, okay, I want to be making $10,000 at the end of every month. You might not be able to achieve this, but if you try to narrow it and tell yourself, I'll always try to make extra $200 every week, and you stay consistent to achieving that amount every week, once it becomes easy for you to achieve this goal, you can then add the amount and start growing gradually. There is a book titled The Compound Effect written by Darren Hardy, which I highly recommend you read this book if you want to start setting any goals in your life. You can check the video here where I spoke about the book. This book will teach you the benefit of doing small and smart things but staying consistent to it, because most of the massive result we get actually come when this small and consistent thing starts to compound. Let's take for instance, you dedicate 30 minutes every day for exercise for 1 year. And at the end of the year, you realize you actually dedicated about 10 days in that year just for exercise. You do not eat, you do not drink, you do not do anything but exercise. Now, I want you to imagine how much weight you can lose if you dedicate 10 days of your life, days and night, just doing exercise. Imagine how much weight you could lose. At the beginning, 30 minutes of workout in a day might seem like a small time, but once this compound, at the end, you have a massive result. Another thing we also need to understand is we should not set goals based on things out of our control. Let's say you plan to start a YouTube channel at the beginning of next year. Don't put a goal for this channel to be something like, I want to get 1,000 subscribers in 6 months. This kind of goal is more likely to fail because you cannot control people to subscribe to your channel. But rather, your goal should be something like, I will be posting 1 video every week up to the time when I'm able to get 1,000 subscribers. This kind of goal is more likely to be achieved because everything you need to achieve the goal is within your powers. You can control when you will post the videos. You can control when not to post. The second myth is, I don't have time, or I need a large amount of time to do some work. As we all know, time is a very important factor in life, and for some people, more time means more money. But each time I say this to myself, either I'm lying to myself or I'm just saying this thing is not a priority for me at the moment, because we will always find times to do the things that are important to us or the things we think are important to us. Like I have always wanted to play piano, but I keep telling myself I don't have that time to learn for now. But this is just because learning piano now is not really important for me. But what if I'm told I'll be given $1,000 each day I go for a piano lesson? Guess what? I'll have enough time to learn how to play piano and even some overtime. It is very okay if we spend a huge amount of time doing some things that are appropriate and will create impact in our life. But most of the time, a lot of us just use this as an excuse to stay away from our work. Because if you go to your phone data and check the amount of time you spend scrolling on TikTok, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, Snapchat, you realize you have a lot of time. You don't just want to use it to do the necessary things. There are some things we don't even need much time to do them. But a lot of time, we actually have this time, but we feel like it is too small to get these things done. Let me give you an example. When I was studying for my Network Plus certification, there was this list of protocols and pod numbers I needed to understand for the purpose of the exam. I kept telling myself I really need to dedicate some amount of time to study this thing. But from the moment I started taking advantage of the little time gaps I had to study these things, in about 2 weeks, I was able to study all the protocols and their acronyms. For instance, let's say I'm in a doctor's appointment and I am 20 minutes early. While waiting for the doctor, I just get to my phone, go to the list and memorize 2 pod numbers and their protocols. Or maybe I want to play my FIFA at home and there's a latest update. While waiting for the update to download, I go in and I memorize one of these protocols, and I kept doing it like that. And at the end of the day, I realized I had known all these protocols and the acronyms without really dedicating much of my time to studying it. The third myth is my environment needs to be perfect. This will really slow you down or might never even get you started because your environment will never be perfect. It is true that you could be more productive in a perfect environment, but you could also be productive in any environment you find yourself in. I want you to ask yourself this question. Have you ever wondered why Microsoft, Android, Google, Facebook, they are still having updates, even though these are the biggest platforms in the world? That is because they were never waiting for the perfect idea to get started. They started with the idea they had at the moment, with the environment they were in at the moment. And as they progress, ideas for improvement started popping up. That's why they keep updating. So let's say your goal is to start a YouTube channel. You don't need to have the perfect camera, the perfect lighting, the perfect computer to get everything started. Start with what you have and start growing. By the time you are able to afford all these perfect tools, you have also perfected your skills and your chances of succeeding becomes even more higher. The third myth is productivity is about doing more. I want you to remember something here. The fact that people are always busy does not mean they are productive. There's an African proverb states that the goal of driving is not just to drive, but to make sure you are driving on the right path to your destination. So imagine yourself driving at a full speed, but you are heading to the wrong destination. That's going to be an absolute waste of time. If you read the 4 Hours Work Week by Tim Ferriss, it says 80% of our results come from doing 20% of the most important part of our job. So instead of focusing on doing the 80% because you think it's going to make you look more productive, look for that 20% of the most important part of that work and focus on doing it. And at the end of the day, you'll get more results. The third myth is, I can do everything or I have to do everything. The truth is that as an achiever, someone with a high desire to succeed, once you set yourself to do something and you're not able to, do what you really wanted to do, you begin to feel bad about yourself, which is not a bad thing. It's okay sometimes, but you need to understand that goals are just like a blueprint that guides us. And the fact that we are not able to achieve some of these goals does not make us lazy. There will be days when you wake up and you just feel so weak, you just want to sleep. It's okay. Just do it. You are a human being and not a machine. In fact, for me, there are some things that I have concluded that I cannot do in my life. Like I'm not good at replying text messages on WhatsApp, on Facebook. I'm not even good at replying emails. So as far as that is concerned, I know I cannot do it and I have made peace with myself. With that said, each time I try to set up my goals for the day, I always try to follow the strategy in the book, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, which I highly recommend you read the book if you have issues with procrastination. The trick here is when you want to set your goals for the day, always start with the biggest and the most important goals. So that even if you start working on these goals and at a certain point of the day you feel tired and you cannot continue working on them, you will still feel satisfied because you know the greatest part of your job has been done. As of now, I am an IT student, and each day when I wake up, I have a bunch of material to cover in preparation for my school. So there are days where I just wake up and I start doing the work, but at some point I just have this mental pressure, this tiredness, and I don't just want to study. Maybe I should just go play FIFA or just watch a movie, or I just want to sleep. There are times when I don't resist, I don't force myself to continue studying. I just leave and do whatever my mind is telling me to do. But at the end of the day, I always make sure the days in which I stay consistent to my work are always a lot much more than the days in which I stay inconsistent. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And if you like this video, consider watching the video here where I talk about the reasons why we should never feel entitled by people. God bless you. Peace.